Georgette Leventis has been a government employee in Salt Lake City for over 20 years now. Following the October 1st government shutdown, Leventis and some of her colleagues were furloughed and sent home without pay. Leventis has struggled through this process, especially with looming mortgage payments. I caught up with Leventis at her home to get her take on the current government shutdown situation. Alright, I'm here with Georgette Leventis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. First off, what is your position as a federal employee?
I am an investigator at the Federal Public Defender's Office in Salt Lake City.
Explain the furlough process and how has it affected you personally thus far?
You know, there are a lot of federal agencies that have taken huge amounts of furlough time, up to like 60 days, 90 days. And we were told originally starting about last April, that we were going to have to take about 10 or 11 days. And we ended up being furloughed 2 separate Fridays. May have taken a third, actually. I'm trying to remember now. It's been a while. And essentially, you stay home. You don't get paid on those days.
Leventis touched on how the furlough process has not only affected her, but has also deeply affected her colleagues. She even goes on to say that some of her colleagues were not furloughed, but they were actually laid off.
We have had a total of 4 people laid off in my office. We started out several months ago where the management talked about how this was going to impact us, and it was originally there would be the furlough days. Then there was talk of potential layoffs. Then there was talk of more definite layoffs. We ended up losing 2 attorneys, 1 assistant federal defender, 1 research and writing specialist, 1 investigator, and 1 paralegal. So to say that it impacted those 4 people more than the rest of us is an understatement. They're still looking for work, as far as I know, all of them.
Georgette's anxiety has been building day by day, knowing that there is not a set timeline for the shutdown's end. Georgette prepares for the long haul. After what you said earlier, how long do you believe this process will last for? And if so, will it last more for others than for you personally?
I was hopeful that this wasn't going to last for a long time, but the longer it goes on, the more it seems that we're going to get tied into the debt ceiling issue. And I think once we reach that point, which I believe is next week, it could go on. I was just watching the news before we started, and there was talk of this going into November. And at this point, it wouldn't surprise me to see it go on for a while, with the lack of movement that we're seeing in Washington right now.
Georgette finally explained her frustration with Congress and their involvement with the current situation. She had a very short but very clear message to give. Is there one thing that you could say to the president or Congress? If there was one thing, well, what would you say?
You know, my gut reaction to that is probably something that you can't broadcast or or publish. Being personally affected by this and seeing my colleagues and friends and coworkers very affected by it, the very simple thing I would say to them is to do the job that they were elected to do. It's very frustrating to see the impact this is having, and I have the perception that they could end this now, they could fix this now, and the political wrangling and the partisan politics and the egos are getting in the way.
A tentative budget deal was reached October 16th, ending the 15-day government shutdown. Georgette is finally back to work and is feeling relieved that a paycheck will be coming soon in the mail.